What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Grow with Breeze. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Shopify. Shopify is definitely one of the biggest e-commerce platforms out there, and it's great for people who are looking to start an online store or to set up a system to manage their in-person stores. There are lots of strengths and weaknesses for this platform, and as good as it is, there are some situations where it probably isn't going to be the best option for you. So in this video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know to decide if Shopify is right for you, as well as showing you a little bit of how the platform works. For your convenience, we do have our affiliate link in the video description, so if at any time you decide you're ready to get started with Shopify, be sure to check out that link for the latest info on pricing, deals, and promotions. That being said, let's get started. So the first aspect of Shopify I want to go over is what exactly it's for. So Shopify, as the name implies, is a really powerful platform used to develop an online store. So if you're selling something online, whether it's a digital product or a physical product, or if you have a brick and mortar business where you want to establish a website and a point of sale system that people can actually use when they come to your business, Shopify might be a good option for you. Now, if you're building a website that's not focused on selling things, like say you have a business that's primarily based on people visiting it, like for example, a hair salon or something like that, or maybe you're selling purely digital products and really nothing else, there might be some other options out there that are better for you. Or if your website isn't entirely focused on e-commerce, maybe it's a personal blog where you occasionally sell merchandise or something like that that does have a lot of e-commerce elements, but isn't quite focused on e-commerce itself and selling things online, then Shopify might not be the best option for you. There are other options out there to build websites that still have really powerful e-commerce tools. And if this situation describes you, I would suggest checking out our comparisons between Shopify and other regular website building platforms like Weebly, Squarespace, and Wix on the channel, because we will have those videos as well. But if the online presence of your business is primarily focused on selling things online, then Shopify might be a really good option for you. Now, another thing I will say is Shopify might not be the best platform for beginners. Now, that doesn't mean you can't learn, but if you are new to building websites, if you're not very tech savvy and you're really just getting started on it, just be aware that the learning curve might be a little bit steeper for you, because Shopify, even though it is pretty user-friendly in lots of ways, is quite a bit more complex than something like, say, Squarespace or Weebly, where the interface is really just drag and drop and the tools really just fall into place. With Shopify, a lot of the time, knowledge of code and stuff like that is really beneficial to being able to build a really strong presence on a website like this. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what Shopify's interface actually looks like. So this is what Shopify's interface looks like when you make an account and are logged in and everything. This is the homepage, and as you can probably tell just from this little snapshot in and of itself, this platform is really geared towards e-commerce. Usually on another website building platform, whether it's Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, you name it, the first thing you're going to see is the access to get to the website editor itself. But on Shopify, you don't see that. The first thing you see is the spot to add your products, and then you can customize the theme too, similar to how you can do it on a platform like Weebly and Squarespace. With Wix, you actually have to choose a theme in the beginning and you can't change it after that. But that's a whole nother story. The bottom line is, this platform is really geared towards the e-commerce side of things, and that only. If you're not going to be doing primarily e-commerce on your website, I can't stress this enough, Shopify is not going to be the platform for you. But if you are, it's a really great no-nonsense approach to building an online store, because you get to log in and get right to the products themselves. On the tab over here on the left, we have all the different sections that are going to have different aspects of your website. For example, the orders. Here you're going to be able to see the orders you get from customers and you'll be able to manage stuff like fulfillment. You get to see abandoned checkouts, so when somebody puts something in their cart and doesn't actually continue with the purchase, you're gonna see it here. And I think that this is another unique thing to Shopify, because even though other platforms like Weebly and Wix and Squarespace do have this feature, it's not a dedicated section on your dashboard itself like it is with Shopify. You're also able to do things like manually create orders and invoices. So a lot more sophisticated, complex things that you can do on Shopify related to e-commerce that you really can't do on other platforms that are more meant for general websites. And here we got the product section. So the product section is really detailed, especially when compared to other platforms that aren't really meant for e-commerce. Here you have all the products on your website. Then you can look at inventory. Now the transfer section is for mostly physical stores, although you can use it for other situations if you want. If you have multiple locations, you can keep track of which items are at what store and how much, all of that. You can make certain collections for different groups of products on your website. So a good example of where this would come in handy is like a clothing brand, for example. If you have a fall or summer collection or something like that, that's a really nice creative way to make your store look super professional and organize your products a little bit better. It also is going to help you a little on the back end as well, because then you can keep your inventory sorted in an easier fashion. Gift cards, this is another section that's really good. Other platforms do have this, but this is quite a bit more advanced than the gift card section of something like Weebly that simply just does it. But with Shopify, you can issue gift card codes directly to customers. So for example, this could be a good situation if you have one of those one-offs where a customer might have a bad experience with something and you want to give them some store credit, something like that. You can also create gift card products like normal, and that's a really nice thing to be able to do so easily as well. One really important aspect of building a business is repeat customers. And on an e-commerce site, one really good way to get repeat business is to have a system where customers can have accounts on your website. This is going to make it a lot easier to store their contact information as well as their payment info to make it easier for them to make a purchase. Personally, when I'm going to a website to make a purchase, I'll typically gravitate towards websites that I've already bought things from, because when I go there, it's a lot easier because since they already have my information, I can just click a few buttons and buy what I want. Whereas if I go to a website I haven't been on, or one where the accounts are always confusing, or they might not even have the ability to have customer accounts, I'm gonna be less inclined to shop there because it's more of a hassle to do it. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm shopping online, I really do it because it's more convenient than going to a store. And if making an account and making a purchase on a website is less convenient than going to a store, then I'm probably not gonna shop on the website. Well, on Shopify, they make it really easy to set up customer accounts and manage them to make sure your customers have a good experience. That's done through the customer tab on the left over here. You're not only able to add customer accounts, but you're also able to import customers from another list that you already have. So that can make things really easy if, for example, you have some sort of Excel sheet or something like that where you have customer info that you collected in a physical store. You can also import that all over to Shopify and make it really easy and seamless to give customers access to their accounts on your website then. Analytics is an important part of any business, and Shopify has a really powerful analytics section that shows you all kinds of information about your revenue, your store visits, your returning customers. The list really goes on. With Shopify's analytics section, you can really dig deep into the information that you gather from your customer interactions to really get a sense of where your business is going and what you need to focus on to help it grow. Now, if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated with this, there's also a report section, and you can even create your own reports to really help you organize the information you get from the dashboard. Also, if you want to look at historical data, reports are a really nice thing to have. And one thing Shopify has that a lot of other platforms like Squarespace and Weebly and all that's not really meant specifically for e-commerce don't have is a live view where you can see who's visiting your website and who's buying things in real time. Now, this feature may or may not be super useful in and of itself, I don't really see a huge value in this, especially when you have reports and the dashboard and all that, where you're really going to get your analytics and insight. But this is a cool thing to have because it goes to show how meticulous Shopify is in providing every little detail they possibly can to help you grow your business and improve your customer experience based on the data you're seeing. So besides just creating a really good product, customer experience, and brand, one of the most important aspects of growing any kind of business, whether it's an online business or a physical business, is marketing. And Shopify has a really powerful marketing platform with lots of advanced tools that are all integrated into one place, so you don't have to go all over to a bunch of different apps and websites to do your marketing. Taking a look at our overview of the marketing section, here once again, you're gonna be able to see your abandoned shopping cart emails. And again, this is basically when somebody puts something in their cart on your online store and they don't actually buy it, you're able to send them an email to remind them what's in their cart and get them to come back and complete the purchase. It's a really cool feature, and it's really emphasized in Shopify versus other platforms where it's still usually a feature, but it's really just a small part of the e-commerce section of these platforms versus Shopify, where it's really emphasized a lot and made convenient and easy to use. That's really not even nearly the beginning of it. Shopify's marketing section has all kinds of different apps that you can use to grow your audience in your market. From Pinterest ads to even Snapchat ads, you have all kinds of different platforms to choose from to advertise your products depending on what your niche is. Some might work out better than others, and you can even create campaigns from Shopify itself, which is really cool because then you don't actually have to go directly on all of these platforms and run campaigns from there because it can get really confusing. For example, if you have a Facebook pixel, you can add that to your Shopify website and make it a lot easier to keep track of your customer base, and you don't have to manage everything from Facebook Ads Manager, for example. You can do it all from here. There are automations you can create as well. For example, you can send a message using Facebook Messenger to a potential customer to get them to come to your website. All sorts of powerful, more sophisticated marketing tools like that you really can't do as easily, if at all, on other platforms. There are lots of different situations where you might want to offer discounts, whether that's to specific customers who you're dealing with more directly, or if you're running a sale, whatever the situation may be, discounts are an important part of gaining new customers and retaining old ones. And Shopify does have a dedicated discount section where you can do this really easily. You can create a discount code, so you can either put it in an ad or share it directly with customers, whatever you want to do. You can also make automatic discounts that'll apply automatically to somebody's cart. So something like a buy one, get one free type of deal, that's going to be really easy through Shopify's platform. In addition to all these powerful tools, if that's not enough for you, Shopify has a huge app center with about 4,100 apps. I think there's actually more than that. So pretty much any type of feature you could think of, any different app you use, you can find it on Shopify and add it to your website so you can really get the most out of the features. So now that we've gone over a lot of the e-commerce features of Shopify, you might be wondering, how do we actually set up the website itself? Well, I'm going to show you that next. The first thing I want to show you is how you can set up a domain. So we're in the home page right now, and we're going to hit add domain and hit add right here. And as you can see, there is a Shopify domain that you get for free, but in order to connect a domain you have or transfer a domain from another platform or buy a new one, you're gonna hit here, and you actually do have to pay for these. So for example, we're gonna do growwithbreezedemo.com. And as you can see here, it's $14 a year, which is actually surprisingly a little bit cheaper than other platforms like Weebly, Squarespace, and Wix, where it's actually $20 a year. Now, I don't think this difference is super significant. It's not really huge by any means, but it's interesting to see that a platform as big and powerful as Shopify is actually a little bit cheaper as far as the domain goes. Now, another thing you can do before actually editing the website itself is change the theme. Now, to do that, we're going to go to customize theme here from the home screen, hit the customize theme button, and that's going to take you to this page where you can see your current theme, and also go to the theme library where you can choose from free themes or you can browse the store. These themes are usually, I want to say, about $20, and they're a little bit more high quality than the free themes. And another thing you can do is upload a theme from a third party, which is something you don't see in any of the other platforms like Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace and all that. So that is an interesting thing. There are lots of third-party sites you can use to find a theme, and once you buy it on there, you can then upload it from your computer onto your Shopify website, and it's gonna be all installed, and your website will be good to go. The theme you start with by default is super basic, but for right now, we're gonna leave it like this. Now, to actually get to the website editor itself, we're gonna hit customize right here, and we're gonna go to the page where we can see what it looks like. Now, this is where you're really gonna see Shopify's editor is not nearly as simple and easy to use as a platform like Wix or Squarespace or Weebly. It's actually a little bit confusing. And when it comes to the design portion, I'm really not a big fan. Right away, we can see this little home button right here doesn't look very good at all. You can edit the header by clicking this. You can center it. You can also add images to the header as a background, that sort of thing. And really, you can't just click on something like you can on Squarespace or Weebly. You have to change it using the buttons on the side. So we're gonna click that. You can edit the text, for example. Change all this stuff. But it is definitely more of a pain to edit than something like Weebly or Squarespace, where you can do a simple drag and drop and move everything around wherever you want. And it's a huge contrast to Wix that's not even on a grid system at all. With Shopify, it's actually really hard to move things around, and it's not really a pleasant experience in my opinion, especially if you're a beginner and you're just getting started with designing websites. This is gonna be extremely complicated for you if you've never seen anything like this before. Even if you're coming from a platform that's really easy to use, like Weebly, for example, I would say Weebly is probably the easiest to use that I've used recently, at least. Now here, you can look at all of the different products and everything that you have on your website. And of course, to go to mobile view, which you're definitely gonna wanna do, you're gonna click this icon right here and see everything, the way it's gonna look from your customer's point of view. So we're in desktop view now, we're gonna go to mobile, and this is mobile view, and you'll be able to do all that pretty easily. You can also go to full screen view, which it's kind of cool that you can do that because you can't do that on any other platform, but at the same time, I don't really think it's that useful, but it's interesting to see this difference. If you want to customize the theme while you're editing the website, you can do that in this section right here. With theme settings, you can change things like the font, colors, all that. And you can also go to theme actions and see some other options. Now, again, with the code, if you do have some coding knowledge, this is gonna help a lot with developing a website on Shopify. And that's a bit of a difference between Shopify and other platforms like Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace, where you don't really need to know any code at all. This is really gonna make a huge difference, much more so on Shopify than it will on those platforms. So when it comes to the actual interface of editing and developing your website on Shopify, the bottom line is it's not horrible, but if you're a beginner and you're not too experienced with designing websites, when it comes to the aesthetics and customization of the appearance of your website, unless you're super good with code or you have a preset theme that you want to upload that you got from a third party or something like that, it's not going to be a very pleasant experience, especially if you're a beginner, if you don't really know what you're doing. I could see it being really frustrating because you can't really move things around very easily. There's no drag and drop system. It's really rigid, and honestly, the customizability isn't very good. It feels really clunky to me, and it feels like it was more designed for people who are more experienced with developing websites and can use code and that sort of thing. So if being able to customize the aesthetics of your website and build it from pretty much the ground up are important to you more so than having really powerful e-commerce tools, then I would definitely suggest looking at one of the other platforms that are less geared towards e-commerce and more geared towards making your website look really nice and being able to customize it yourself, because those platforms do have powerful e-commerce tools as well, but they also have a lot more flexibility in the way you're able to design your website than Shopify does. Now, in conclusion, my final thoughts about Shopify. Shopify is a really powerful tool for e-commerce and has a lot of different advanced features that other platforms like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, all of those platforms don't really have. With Shopify, if you have an online business that's primarily online or has lots of e-commerce activities, especially with physical products, you'll be able to build and scale your business a lot faster and easier with the tools that are available through Shopify. But if you have a smaller business that's not so focused on e-commerce and you're more concerned with ease of use and being able to design a really nice looking website without any complicated tools, even if you still do lots of e-commerce, but don't quite want to invest the time and money into something like Shopify, then there are other platforms out there that are probably going to fit your needs better. But if you do fall into that first group with needs primarily focused in e-commerce and being able to scale your business using really powerful advanced tools that you can't find on other platforms, then Shopify is going to be a really powerful asset for you. Again, if you do decide you're ready to get started with Shopify, be sure to check our affiliate link in the video description. It'll take you right to Shopify where you can see all the latest info on pricing, deals, and promotions. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Grow with Breeze video.